What's up, A to Z Sports here live on a Tuesday. Going to have a good show because Monday was Cam Ward's pro day down there in Coral Gables at the University of Miami. And Cam Ward and the entire Titans brass were present together. They had dinner Sunday night together. We've got some other reporting on where maybe they had dinner in Miami and what this means. What does this pro day mean? What's the importance of it? And what's the feeling coming out of the pro day for Cam Ward at Miami and what the Titans are going to be doing with the number one overall pick and maybe some other players, some teammates of Cam Ward that could fit the Tennessee Titans as well. Jim Wyatt was doing a lot of good stuff down there on the field, and we've got content to share with you guys and to talk through as well. So Easton, welcome in. We're going to have a good show, and then we'll throw shade at the end of the show. So if you have shade, get your shade ready. Let's do it here. Welcome in on a Tuesday morning.
Good morning, Austin. Good morning to everybody in the chat. Hope everybody's having a great start to your Tuesday morning. Got a big show for you today. But first, got to hit that like button on Facebook, on YouTube. Like the show for us this morning. Easiest way for you to be a part of the show, a friend of the program this morning. And then jump in the comments like Scott, Katie, John, J. Rome, Jameson, Greg, Chris, the Bear 16, Steven, Demario, a lot of familiar faces. Good morning to all of you in the chat. Join them over there on Facebook, on YouTube. Jump in the comments. Want to hear y'all's thoughts on what you thought about Cam Ward's pro day yesterday. About, we're going to eventually later in the show, we're going to talk about some other Miami players. So it's a Miami themed day here on the A to Z Sports Morning Show. Got an exciting program for you, but we can't get to any of it until you hit that like button. So like the show, and then Austin, let's get it started.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome to A to Z Sports here live on a Tuesday. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Easton Freeze. We are always going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch as Nashville's on-demand sports network. Got to make sure that you guys follow us all over social media because we post segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. That's at A to Z Sports. Hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. And our friends at Bart Durham Injury Law. A crash can change your life forever, but help is just a click away at bartdurham.com. So, Easton, there was all of the Titans brass down there at the Miami Pro Day yesterday to see Cam Ward and other players. Take us through the long list of attendees that are employed by the Titans that were present for Cam Ward's Pro Day yesterday.
It's certainly easier to name the guys that weren't there. You had the entire contingent, the 4-pack of GMs the Titans have in Dave Ziegler, Reggie McKenzie, Mike Borgonzi, Chad Brinker, all in attendance, as well as Brian Callahan, offensive coordinator Nick Holtz, quarterback coach Bo Hardigree, media guy Jimmy Wyatt was in attendance also for some reason. The TV crew was also in attendance for some reason.
For some reason? Are you doubting the reasoning for why they're there?
I'm being facetious, of course. It's just they had literally, they brought the entire crew, media, front office, coaching, like everybody. I wonder why.
Yeah, you bring
that behind the scenes path to our number one pick that's gonna be a great video one day. Can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, if especially if Cam Ward turns out to be I look, Ash is right. Even Rand showed up.
Yes, he did. That was wild. That took me for a loop last night when I was eating dinner and about to spit my food across the table. Wasn't prepared for that.
Honestly, though, Rand Carthon on TV is actually like a great fit.
Well, now he's doing a podcast.
Yeah, I know.
He's going to be on a CBS podcast weekly. The With the First Pick is what it's called. I forget who it's with, but
he's going to be phenomenal doing that.
Yeah,
I think that is a perfect career move for Rand Carthon.
I think obviously, phenomenal is strong. What about him do you think makes him phenomenal at media? We've not seen him do media.
Dude,
what?
He is so good talking. He is so good.
I don't want to be a hater this morning, so we can move on.
Gosh.
He's fine. Like
he's
the
very
sample size is
charismatic.
inconclusive.
No,
like maybe he'll be great.
No.
What do you mean? No, I'm at all the freaking press conferences. I know it's inconclusive.
Yeah,
what are you
I don't
talking
think
about?
Press conferences are not how you judge a person's charisma on how entertaining
You're
they would
right,
be.
but that's the extent of his media
No,
experience.
it's not.
Besides one powder puff 1045 interview that meant nothing, and then now one interview with Cam Ward that went really well. So what are we talking about, Austin? What a ridiculous, stupid way to start the show by you.
Easton, no. You
yes, dude.
are no. Rand Carthon was
Chad, how much media have we heard from Rand Carthon in his life? How much have we heard?
It's not about the media that he's done. It's about his personality.
You don't know his personality. You don't know the guy. None of us know the guy. None of us know him. You know him personally. You best buds?
No, I didn't say best buds.
How do you know him?
Why are you freaking out so much over
Because I think this is so stupid.
He's going to be so good. He is a personality guy. He's okay. God,
that's what you heard his whole career is that he's a relationships guy. Right, but we don't know him. We don't know him.
Go watch his interview that he did live with about 150 Titans fans with Buck Rising and Greg Cosell last May. He's phenomenal. He's charismatic. He's a great personality. He likes to joke and rib. He's a good storyteller. He is going to be great.
I know what he's like one-on-one because I've talked to him. Like we've been around him privately. I'm talking about on a microphone in front of a camera. I don't know what he's going to be like.
Oh, he's
I'm sure he'll be good. But I think he'll be great. It's kind of crazy to me.
Andre,
it's like saying Tom Brady was going to be great. I don't think I'm being weird.
Easton needs sleep. Easton has been hanging around Zach apparently. Rand will be a great broadcaster. So
I think he'll be good, but this idea that we know he's going to be incredible, I think is crazy.
I think he would. I think it's a great fit. Anyway,
I hate that I was forced into this hater lane. I'm not trying to be a hater this morning. It's just like, what are we talking about?
I think it's a great fit. Anyway, all right, let's talk about the people that are currently employed with the Titans and futurely employed with the Titans.
Well, he's still getting paid by the Titans. He's probably the highest paid person at CBS Sports.
No, that's
probably the highest paid person out there at the media day at CBS Sports.
Okay, all right.
Talent. So who else at CBS is talent that's getting paid more than him?
CBS, dude, Jim.
Who's
Jim
making
Nance,
more than like 4 a year? You think? Well, Jim, that's a good point.
Tony freaking Romo.
That's a good point.
Do you want to keep talking like media here, or like do you?
I'm just riffing. I'm just riffing.
All these things.
I'm just riffing.
How many more times can you be wrong? Tony Romo is making like $20 million a year.
That's a good point.
To do like 16 games in the NFL. All right, let's move on to Cam Ward interacting with the Titans brass. You listed off that was there. This is via Titans media guy Jim White.
All across the body, incomplete.
Cam Ward special.
I got 4 days. Figure it out. It's gonna work out.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Great.
So we'll get to that last interaction here in a second of Cam Ward rolling to his left and then having some words for Borgonzi and Brinker on the sideline when Cam Ward talked to Jim Wyatt afterwards. But Easton, your thought on what was going on there with Callahan, Brinker, Borgonzi, Ziegler. We saw Nick Holtz. We saw Bill Hardigree. A lot of Titans people right there talking to Cam Ward.
I don't know if you heard the very first clip when he's talking to, or when he's like dapping up Callahan and Nick Holtz, but I'm pretty sure it's Nick Holtz who goes, "Throw across your body, incomplete," expletive, which is very funny to me that they're giving him a hard time for his over creation that, you know, that he's going to have to rein in once he gets to the NFL level. Yeah. I mean, they are, we knew this was going to happen, right? They were chummy with their guy. The whole crew is there to see their future quarterback. It's, you know, pro days are really just a confirmation exercise at this point. They used to be more than they are today. And at this point, they're so heavily televised and packaged for marketing. And like, it's the function of them has gone away for the frills of it all a little bit, is what people who've been going to pro days for a long time would tell you. And so all they really went down there for, I mean, it's the huge contingent of Titans people. It's really, I think the number one thing is just in a show of support. But then also a confirmation of, they'd not seen him throw yet with their own eyes. I think that Chad Brinker attended at least one of his, actually, I know that Chad Brinker attended at least one of his games in college. But besides that, I kind of doubt Mike Borgonzi was scouting him at all in Kansas City. The Titans regional scout will have seen him however many times he's seen him. But other than that, these guys have not seen him in person throw live. And so they got to do that. Now, I do, another like little tangent, I do find it kind of curious how we in the media are like, well, they've not seen him throw live yet. Like that really super duper matters. Like it's.
I think it does. I think it's a part of the process.
Do you think it super duper matters? I think
it matters, deal. Whatever the hell you mean by super duper.
Well, I just mean like people make a big deal about it. You know what I mean? It's like, well, until they see him throw live, it's like, well, they've got like 4,000 snaps worth of tape.
Yeah, but I also think like you've talked about this, the importance of being at the Senior Bowl and sizing guys up and kind of and knowing what like
the size part is real. That part's real.
What does it feel like, right? If you're watching a guy throw on the sideline in person, what does it feel like? Can you feel in here and the ball coming out of his hand? Yeah, it absolutely matters. Like, could you imagine drafting a quarterback number 1 overall?
I just think we overblow it.
Could you imagine drafting a quarterback number 1 overall and not seeing him throw in person?
No. That's not what I'm saying either. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I just think we make it a bigger deal than it is because again, it's a confirmation exercise, and the seeing him throw is like you're checking it off the list. Like, okay, well, we've seen him throw. Nothing, no immediate red flags from the eye test that we weren't expecting to see because we watched him for 4,000 snaps on tape. But they did get to see him throw. They'll get to see him throw again one more time at a private workout, which is TBD. I don't know when that's going to be. That'll be somewhere in or around his hometown, I believe. And then they'll do the same with Shadir Sanders. They'll get to see him twice. Just to report that real quick. They'll see him at the Colorado Pro Day, which not every single Titans person will be at, by the way. And then the private workout, which I think every Titans person will be at. So, but yeah,
April 4th is the Colorado Pro Day.
Yes,
which is separate from the Big 12 Pro Day.
Yeah, Big 12 already do their Pro Day, I think. I
believe so. Yeah.
So yeah, they went down there, took them to dinner. Like you said, some elite A to Z reporting here. They went to Carbone, which is a very difficult restaurant to get into, at least in New York. I've heard Tony Kornheiser on his podcast talk all the time about how he loves Carbone and it's impossible to get into Carbone. I don't know how difficult it is to get into the one on South Beach, but they went to that one. I know our buddy Zach Lyons on 104.5 yesterday pulled up the menu on the air and was talking about how expensive it was. There's a $32 Caesar salad at Carbone if you want to go there. So it's
about 3 times the price of the Caesar salads that I usually order.
Right, exactly. I'm not paying $32 for a Caesar salad.
I might.
Maybe you might if it's the best Caesar salad
if I'm at Carbone, yeah, probably.
Sure. Well, if I'm at Carbone, I think I'm getting something other than a Caesar salad, probably. But
yeah, but
well, so that's what we need to find out. What do you think they ordered? We need to figure out what the order was.
You found out where they went. I'm pretty sure you can find out what they ordered. Like at least one of the people at the table. Hey, what'd you get? What did Cam Ward get?
That's what I want. That's what I'm saying. That's what I want to know.
Because you know what? Zach and I ate dinner one table over from Ed Orgeron, Joe Burrow, and a couple of the other LSU players.
What was this?
The SEC Media Days before the national championship run. And Joe Burrow.
Like that year?
Yeah, the summer before the national championship run.
Yeah.
Zach and I were at SEC Media Days. I believe we were at O'Charlie's or whatever. No, it's Alexander. It's whatever's right next to the mall there in Hoover. And one table over in the booth were the LSU group, which was Orgeron, Burrow, and I can't remember the other 2 players. And I have never seen a human being eat more food than Joe Burrow ate at that table. It was. Were
you dialed in on his consumption? Were you?
Yeah, I mean, it's like okay, let's just see what they order, right? Because they just went through the day of like media stuff, and Joe Burrow ate so much food.
So are we talking appetizer, soup, salad, entree, just
the most expensive entree at a J. Alexander's is what Joe Burrow got. It was a big, huge slab on a massive plate, and he ate all of it so fast. So
I love that.
There you go. There you go.
Curtis
All right.
asks, wait, do you already know they won't send everyone to Sanders, Easton? Yes, I do know that most, but not all of them will be at the Colorado Pro Day. But I think all of them will be at the private workout eventually. But yes, just
Yes.
a little note
Yeah.
there.
Not everybody from the Titans will be at Shedeur Sanders Pro Day at Colorado.
Right.
So
But to wrap
is
that up,
something.
they took him to dinner. They watched the practice, the workout. They talked to people on the field, and that's literally the whole thing. There's not even like special secret meetings or anything. They yuck it up with people, and then they come home. So that's the Pro Day.
Yeah, and let's hear from Cam Ward, who asked, I think it was Devin asked, like, I don't know what Cam Ward said to Borgonzi, but Borgonzi had like a little hip sway at the end of that as he was like smiling. But Jim Wyatt caught up with Cam Ward and asked him what he said to Borgonzi and Brinker after that rollout to the left during the Pro Day script.
One play, and you looked over at Mike Bergonzi and Chad Brinker, the Titans, and said something to them. They smiled. What'd you tell them?
I told them I'm solidifying it today.
Yeah.
They finally got a chance to see me throw in person. I'll get another chance, hopefully throw in person in front of them. But, that's a good building that they got there. Good support staff there. I was able to meet a lot of them when I went there on my 30 visit. I was just happy, to be able to throw for them in front of them for the first time.
And you kind of touched on it there, but what's the interaction been like when you came to Nashville, when you spent time with them in the last couple of weeks? How have you gotten along with everybody?
It was good, from the president, Mr. Chad, to Mr. Mike, to Mr. Dave. It was all good, especially with Coach Callahan. I think what he does offensively, suits me from what I did in Miami and at previous stops. The terminology is not that big of a difference. He gets his guys open. He calls great plays. And so I just think if I get a chance to play with him, we'll have a real good outcome.
No, you'd be happy anywhere you go. How much thought have you given to being the first pick overall and coming to Tennessee?
Not much thought. I try not to worry myself about stuff like that. I can only control what I can control. I can't turn the card in myself. So, the Tennessee, if they get me, I'll be happy to be there for sure.
So that was part of Jim Wyatt's conversation with Cam Ward after his Pro Day performance there in Miami. So, Easton, I've got a question for you about that, but I do want to ask the audience a question here, because Cam Ward said that he told Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi that he solidified the pick. And so, okay, let's see what that means. What percentage chance right now do you think the Titans are drafting Cam Ward? So what percentage chance right now do you think the Titans are drafting Cam Ward, number 1 overall? So it's 29 days, I think we are, from the NFL draft, maybe 30, since March has a 31st day. But what percentage chance do you think the Titans are drafting Cam Ward at number 1 overall? But first, I'm going to tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to tell the people, you have to know where you should turn to. And that's where I've gone in the past, the Bone and Joint Institute. They've got great doctors and support staff and physicians and surgery center resources, rehab facility, all across the board. They can take care of you just as they have for me with whatever that injury is that pops up in life in Middle Tennessee, right off of I-65 and Highway 96 in Franklin. So check them out online, book an appointment when you need them, boneandjointtn.org.
There's so much more to say, but first, make sure you have liked the show for us this morning. Jump in the comments, respond to the question at hand here. And while you're in those comments, make sure you hit that like button right there underneath our faces on YouTube, the thumbs up on Facebook. It's the easiest way to be a friend of the show this morning. All right, Austin, we've got a lot of responses here. Going to go through.
What percentage chance right now are the Titans drafting Cam Ward number 1 overall?
Grady says 95. Seth says 99. Tyler says 100% chance. Bustin Diamond says 1 quintillion, 1 Google. I'm not sure. I'd have to count those zeros. 80% chance from Out the Crib. 95 from Jason. 99 from Michael. 90 from Greatness Hybrid. 69% from Chitin's Tile. Nice. IR Hoshi, 95%. Devarte, 90%. James Hughes just says yes. Curtis says 90%. Michael says 90, and he's a Sanders guy. 55% from Rooney Glover. So thinks it's just a little bit more likely than not. 85% from Jake. 50% from Ocho. 97.1% from hashtag QJ. 85, 100, 75,
97.1. I'm sorry. That just made me think something like that.
Yeah, no, it's a radio station number for some reason. 100, 95, 50, 50, 90, 95, 80, 99. So a lot of, I'd say our average eyeball in it is like in the 92, 93% range, but there are a surprising number of people in the, 80, 78, 55, 50% range. I'm surprised by the number of 50% from Jonathan, folks that aren't. Jason, got to see Sanders first, still at 50%. I am very surprised by that, and
I
would
think
want to hear an explanation on that.
The Titans are not drafting Shedeur Sanders.
Nope.
That if they trade back,
I think this is crazy. I think you're just respectfully, I don't think you're paying attention if this is what you think.
Oh, I agree with that take on Major Keys' opinion.
Yes.
Major Keys, is obviously not doing what you do for a living, where your job, you're paid to pay attention to everything. Yeah. Major Keys is not.
I'm not sure this one takes a super high level of.
No, but still, look. There is 0% chance the Titans draft Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
0%. And I'm the person that says, leave at least 1% in there. But 0% chance the Titans draft Shedeur Sanders.
Well, elaborate on why you think that, because it's not
because if they're going to draft, they don't hate Shedeur, but if they're going to draft the quarterback, they're going to draft Cam Ward. If they're not going to draft Cam Ward, they're not going to draft the quarterback.
Yeah.
And Major Keys asked, why are you so sure? Because that's what Easton has reported. It's
been 3 weeks of reporting on this show about this. We've been talking about this for almost a month now.
Cam Ward is the only quarterback the Titans will take in the first round this year. I hope I could extend that and say in the entire draft this year, but I'm not going to go that far. I'm going to say in the first round, Cam Ward's the only quarterback the Titans will take. If they don't take Cam Ward at 1, they're going to trade back from 1 and draft a non-quarterback.
Yep.
So to answer the question, what percentage chance do I think the Titans are going to draft Cam Ward number 1 overall? I mean, I'm going to leave a sliver of opportunity open for a trade back. It is a significantly smaller sliver or slice of pizza from what I had maybe 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
I'm going to say 92% chance now the Titans are drafting Cam Ward. Is that lower or higher than you were expecting?
Lower.
Okay.
My answer is 99%, and only that 1%. That 1% is just a insurance professional reliability responsibility 1%. It is. I don't in my gut believe in that 1%. I'm just throwing it in there because I feel like I have to. So 99%.
Okay.
Here's what I'll say. It is as of if the draft was today, they are 100% drafting Cam Ward. 100.
And I think that's why I'm going to be lower than what your 99% is because there is still a lot of days left of craziness and people panicking and people having their waffling moments and other teams getting extra desperate and more desperate than they already are.
Sure. And that's the one thing I do want to clarify. And I tweeted about this the other day. Like, if in some bizarro world in the next month something does happen and it's not Cam Ward, like this sounds like I'm just preemptively covering my butt, but it's really not. Like, that's because something changed. It's going to be a lot of people coming to people like me who very strongly reported this for, more, 2 months before the draft. Like, oh, you were wrong. This guy knows nothing. He was making up the whole time. It's because something changed, and some things change. Some things change in the NFL. Like that's why that 1% is in there, because even when the plan can be rock solid 100% today, right now, yep, we're taking Cam. You could wake up tomorrow morning and we could, to quote a terrible movie, we live in a different world than we did 10 minutes ago. And so it would take somebody's team just changing so fundamentally from where they're at right now for whatever reason, that it changes the picture. And I don't see that happening. Nobody really sees that happening, to be clear. But if it were to change, it's because something dramatic happened, not because we were wrong about this all along. That part is a fact.
Yeah. So Andre says April 4th will be what changes. And April 4th is the Shedeur Sanders Colorado Pro Day. And no, that's because you want to do a little crystal ball here, Easton here.
Sure.
So April 4th is, let's see, how many days away is April 4th? April 4th
9.
is it's a week from this upcoming Friday, right? So it's Friday, April 4th. And a week from today, it's April Fool's. So don't think I'm fooling you right now. But on April 4th, Colorado and Shedeur Sanders will have their pro day. There will be a notable Titans missing name from the list of attendees. And everybody's going to go, what does it mean? So the Titans will not have everybody there that was there yesterday in Miami, in Colorado. Correct. I'm telling you right now. So Andre says April 4th is going to change it. No, it's not, because there's already going to be less investment going to Colorado than there was going to Miami yesterday.
But Austin, then afterwards, it's going to be, Nick Holtz dapping them up, having a good time, yucking it up. And they're going to be like, oh, they love Shedeur. Oh, did you see that face that Mike Borgonzi made when he made that throw? Wow. They're still in.
So just saying.
Shadeur's going to run across the field and say, I'm solidifying it. And then they're going to talk about it afterwards.
Coach Will's like, no Jim Wyatt. Jim Wyatt won't be there. I mean, honestly, though, if Jim Wyatt's not there, that tells you something.
Well, for me, it's less about Jim and more about the full TV crew that they brought to Miami yesterday. Is our boy Jack on the camera down there? That's my question.
But I mean, that honestly, as silly as that sounds, that tells you something.
Yes. Totally.
Messaging. Like they're trying to gather stuff for the whole story. So you say 99% chance that Cam Ward is drafted by the Titans #1 overall. I say 92%. We both have that sliver of opportunity open for a trade back because things could change. I think somebody can get more desperate. Who knows? I do want to ask you a question because I want to go back to the clip of video we played with Jim Wyatt talking with Cam Ward. And I want to ask you a question about one of Cam Ward's answers. So let's hear from Cam Ward with Jim Wyatt again from Miami Pro Day yesterday.
One play and you looked over at Mike Bergonzi and Chad Brink of the Titans and said something to them. They smiled. What'd you tell them?
I told them I'm solidifying it today.
Yeah.
They finally got a chance to see me throw in person. I'll get another chance, hopefully throw in person in front of them. But, that's a good building that they got there. Good support staff there. I was able to meet a lot of them when I went there on my 30 visit. I was just happy, to be able to throw for them in front of them for the first time.
And you kind of touched on it there, but what's the interaction been like when you came to Nashville, when you spent time with them in the last couple of weeks? How have you gotten along with everybody?
It was good. From the president, Mr. Chad, to Mr. Mike, to Mr. Dave. It was all good, especially with Coach Callahan. I think what he does offensively, suits me from what I did in Miami and in previous stops. The terminology is not that big of a difference. He gets his guys open. He calls great plays. And so I just think if I get a chance to play with him, we'll have a real good outcome.
No, you'd be happy anyway.
All right, so that comment right there, Easton, that he thinks Cam Ward believes he is a good fit for what Brian Callahan does offensively. Because if we reverse back to January 7th or whatever, and the Titans had the #1 overall pick and Rand Carthon just got fired, then we're thinking, it's not Cam Ward. Cam Ward doesn't fit what Brian Callahan wants to do, right? What do you think about Cam Ward saying that he thinks he fits what Brian Callahan likes to do on the football field offensively?
Well, first of all, I don't think I'll only speak for myself. I wasn't ever saying that Cam Ward was a bad fit for what Brian Callahan wants to do. I just felt like the basic play style of Shedeur Sanders was a better fit for the Brian Callahan offense, which remains true, by the way, to me at least. So that I don't think that's a binary thing where actually that means Shedeur would be good and Cam would be bad. I just thought Shedeur was a better fit stylistically. Now, that was in a lot of that talk was before I actually did my deep dive watching all of the games of Cam Ward that I could get my hands on. Having done that since then, one thing I will say, and my friend Stoney Keeley has talked a lot about this. there are a lot of things about the Miami offense from a route pattern standpoint that are very similar to the way that Brian Callahan deploys his receivers. And so the spacing and the movement downfield is something that I think Cam Ward's going to be very familiar with. I think that he and Brian Callahan, in terms of a play caller's preferences and a quarterback's eye preferences, they're going to overlap a lot, I think. And so that's a good thing. And I don't think he's blowing smoke. Sometimes you just say like, yeah, it'd be a great fit. Absolutely. I don't think he's blowing smoke like that here. I think that he really does think that he would be a good fit for the Callahan offense. And I think that he's a fine fit for the Callahan offense, just from a pure play style standpoint. Is it a perfect fit? I don't think so. I think like a Joe Burrow is a perfect fit, but you don't have to be a perfect fit. And also a good offensive coordinator or, play caller adapts their offense to the strengths of that player. And so if you need a perfect hand and glove fit for your offense, then you're probably not that great at your job,
Yeah, for sure. And now Tall Texan says Callie hates backyard football, so he definitely hates Sanders' play style. You got those mixed up.
Yeah, I think he means Cam's play
Yeah,
style.
I think he maybe just typed the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But Sanders is not backyard. Cam Ward has been more backyard.
Mm-hmm.
If you view Shedeur Sanders as backyard football, it's because he's had to run for his life because his offensive line are saloon doors, just a collection of saloon doors that people are just walking through and saying, hey, pour me a pint. But like, I think that's not what Shedeur Sanders is. And I actually saw this comment that I favorited here. Craig says, why are y'all so down on Sanders? That's not what we're saying here. I like Shedeur Sanders.
5 pick, in my opinion. He should be. Not will be, should be.
I am impressed by Shedeur Sanders. I am intrigued by how Shedeur Sanders could change an NFL franchise with his play on the field and his aura off it. And I think it's very intriguing. But I'm not down on Shedeur Sanders. I think what we're saying here is that the Titans, based on what we've heard, what we know in conversations that A to Z has had over the last, I don't know, since the Senior Bowl, which is probably when a lot of this stuff started because the East-West Shrine was the week before the Senior Bowl, and then more of that really picked up. So I would say the last 2 months, Cam Ward has solidified himself as the only quarterback worth taking for the Tennessee Titans in the top of the draft. Because if you're not going to take Cam Ward, then you're not going to take Shedeur Sanders. You're just not going to take a quarterback, like I said earlier. So it's not about being out or down on Shedeur Sanders. It's just where the Titans are at right now with their situation at the top of the draft.
Yeah, I get how it sounds like that. You just have to, as our audience, help us in divorcing when we're talking about what is going to happen or reporting versus our own personal opinions. And unfortunately, recently at least, we've not had a ton of opportunity to have personal opinion sharing time on Shedeur Sanders. We did a lot of that in and around the combine. We did a lot of talk. Sam, you and I did a lot of talking about Shedeur Sanders, what we thought about him. But recently we've not been there because it's been a lot of reading the tea leaves on Cam Ward and their love for Cam Ward. And I am much higher on Shedeur Sanders personally than I know the Titans to be, for example. So, and when I talk about how there's no chance of Shedeur Sanders, that has no bearing on whether or not I like Shedeur Sanders. Because I think that both of these quarterbacks are underrated. Well, one's not anymore, but he was coming in. I think coming in, both of these quarterbacks are underrated. I tweeted as much in February after I finished watching them both. I think they both should be top 5 picks. And I think they both ultimately will be.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think it's really interesting. Let's see. Chef Main says, what about the generational comment Borgonzi and the Titans said? Do they view Cam as generational? I think that is so taken out of context because that comment about we would not pass on a generational talent, number 1 overall, was said generically.
Correct. That was a philosophy.
It was not about this class. It was
that
just
comment came before they ever started their 3-phase tape. Like they hadn't started studying.
I want to say, did that come right after they hired Borgonzi?
That was at the press conference. That was at the
introductory. Well, Brinker said on radio on the Zone that the whole generational talent thing, right? And
Yeah, and that was like
McAfee
the
picked
day
it
or
up.
two before the introductory presser. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
So
that
it's
week.
all that stuff is like, and Cap says there is no generational talent in this class. I agree.
Incorrect. Hard incorrect. What are we talking about? Travis Hunter is a generational prospect. 100%.
Well, okay, talent and prospect
100
are different things.
No, both. I was wrong about that very early on before I watched him. Both.
Okay.
He's going to be a top 5 cornerback if he plays cornerback, and he may damn well be Justin Jefferson if he plays receiver. He's awesome. He's going to be great at whatever he does. He's a generational player.
So the Titans making a mistake?
No, because you need a quarterback.
Okay.
And Cam might be awesome too. I'm just saying, that's the way it always is. Like, in how many classes is the top quarterback whatever this means, a more generational player than the top player, period? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's usually a position player that is better at their job than the best quarterback is maybe at their job, or at least we think so.
I would agree.
Like Ashton Genty, talk about a guy that a statistical analytical profile. Ashton Genty is generational. Now, running back prospects are just hard to be for me. Like, when was the last prospect from a draft standpoint where you felt like was Saquon generational to you?
Saquon was a second round pick, wasn't he?
No, he was top 5 pick, top 10 pick. I think Saquon went to the Giants at 2. I think.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's right. Okay,
but Genty feels kind of the same to me as Saquon did, where it's like, I guess I would call that generational, but I don't really even know what a generational running back prospect is.
But what did it do for the Giants?
What
did Saquon generational running back do to the
exactly.
Giants?
Exactly.
Nothing.
And then
he won a Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Then. He was generational for the Eagles. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. And just again, it's about
Kyle
like
Pitts in the comments. Yeah, I mean, it's like, But anyways, Travis Hunter, generational, going to be amazing.
But again, to the comment, like I think that was a generic comment about the whole thing.
Yes.
Oh, Joe, Austin is trash. I thought he was gone and was so happy. Thanks, Joe. No, I'm back.
You know what? That's funny. Yesterday morning when he showed back up on the morning call, I sent him that exact same text message privately. I said, I thought you were gone and I was so happy. So I'm on the same page.
Man,
with you, Joe.
Calling me trash. I don't know what I did to Joe Morton. Well,
somebody called me Zach earlier, so.
No, said that you've been hanging around Zach.
Is basically calling me Zach. It was enough. It was enough to hurt my feelings.
Yeah. All right. So, Nick says, Joe, I'm pretty sure the A is not leaving A to Z.
We talked about this yesterday. We're not going to just be Z Sports. What does that even mean? It's too close to Zen Sports, who are a partner of ours.
Yes. There you go. All right. So let's get to this conversation because the Titans got to see a lot of other Miami players down at the Cam Ward Pro Day. And it might not be a bad idea to have a former teammate join Cam Ward. I'm not generational.
You're a generational prospect, Austin.
Now, Joe, you're saying, damn, what? Because I saw your comment and read it.
I said something publicly and I got called out for it. Oh, no.
Well, welcome back. Yeah. Thanks, Joe.
Don't switch up now, Joe.
Yeah. Come on, dude.
Say it with your chest, Joe.
What? That's ridiculous. All right. So, Easton, here are some other Miami players.
Oh, yeah.
We want to ask you guys
6 in the top 150. Pretty good.
Which of these Miami teammates would be a good fit, the best fit for the Titans to also add in this draft with Cam Ward? So which of these other guys, Elijah Arroyo, tight end, second round projection, Xavier Restrepo, wide receiver, third round projection, Damian Martinez, running back, fifth round, Tyler Barron, Knoxville native, former Vol, edge rusher.
Right.
Yes, right. He was a transfer portal guy over the last year or so. And then as a fifth round projection, as well as Jalen Rivers, a tackle in the fifth round. So we'll ask you guys which of the Cam Ward teammates is the right fit maybe for the Titans to add later in the draft. But first, Easton, if you could tell us all about our friends, the Bart Durham Injury Law?
I'd love to tell people about our friends over at Bart Durham Injury Law. They want to help you with whatever your accident needs are. A big truck wreck could change your life, and Bart Durham Injury Law wants to be there to help you. They're only a click away over at bartdurham.com. Your big truck wreck is there at Fight for Justice, and a crash can change your life forever. Injury Law team over at Bart Durham is here to help. They're only a phone call away. Reach them at bartdurham.com or at 615-242-9000. 24/7 they are available, and they believe you deserve to be paid. Their attorneys can meet with you whenever, wherever is most convenient, including virtually. So visit the website, not just to schedule an appointment, but for current news, blogs, contact them, live chat. They've been in business since 1975. Years of experience, 50 years of experience, dealing with all kinds of automobile wrecks. Located locally here in Capitol View, Nashville, but they can fight for anybody in Kentucky or Tennessee that's been in an auto accident, led, of course, by Blair Durham, great Tennessean, a Marine veteran, doing things right over there at the Bart Durham Injury Law Center.
All right. Also, make sure you do hit that like button, like the show while you're watching here. Hit that like button and leave us a 5-star Google review. That goes a long way for us. We appreciate that. Here's other Miami players that are ranked in the top 150 of this draft: Elijah Arroyo, tight end; Xavier Restrepo, wide receiver; Jamie Martinez, running back; Tyler Barron, edge; and Jalen Rivers, a tackle. Asking you guys which Miami teammate would be the best option to join him with the Titans. Easton, do you have a feel on this? Because there's a lot of Restrepo and Arroyo comments, right? Why draft a quarterback, then get him a guy threw the ball to in college and had success with. What are your thoughts on Arroyo and Restrepo?
Yeah, I have different thoughts. Like, I have a guy that I think is the most likely. I have a guy that I think would be the most fun. I have a guy that is a sneaky pick. So I'm going to kind of throw all of it at the wall here. The guy that I think, I'll go ahead and get Arroyo out of the way, because if you want to, here's the superlative for Arroyo. The guy on this list least likely to join the Titans, just because it's unfortunate, but just the nature of his position. I forget where he was on that board, but he's like in the top 50. He's going to probably, okay, it's top 60. He's going to be drafted in the second round. He's awesome. He's so cool. I loved watching him at the Senior Bowl. Loved watching his tape afterwards. He's going to be a great player somewhere. It's not going to be in Tennessee, just because they can't. I mean, this Titans team, we know their situation with their first and second round pick. They can't spend that on a tight end. Now, the guy that I think
if they trade back in the second round, then there might be extra maneuvering around. Like if the Titans take if they trade back and get pick 48 and they take Arroyo, is that crazy?
It's crazy unless they're convinced that he can become, like, basically immediately a top 5 receiving tight end in the league. And he might. He has upside to do that. But like their need at receiver and edge is just so glaring.
But is Arroyo not going to fit a need at receiver to an extent?
To an extent, but what I'm saying is he needs to immediately be, like I said, a top 5 receiving option at tight end in the league. Like he needs to have an 800-yard rookie season as a receiver, which is just difficult for any tight end. And he's a bigger body guy, where I'm not saying he can't be that, but I say bigger. He's not super big, but he's bigger. He's not like a Chikakonkwo build where it's like the slim, speedy tight end. He's going to be useful to whatever team he lands on as a dual threat guy. And that's going to make him the best version of himself. And like, not comparing him at all, but like the George Kittle mold of a guy that some games he shows up for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And some games you don't notice him at all on the score sheet. It's because he's blocking his butt off and helping the team in a big way in line. So that's why I don't think Arroyo's likelihood. Now let me talk about my actual answer to the question. Who's the best fit for the Titans? Pull the graphic back up for me one more time so I can just take an eye on it. I think the best fit, I mean, it's a boring answer. Maybe the guy most likely for them to draft to me is Jalen Rivers, the tackle. He played left tackle for the Canes, was Cam Ward's left tackle. He's going to be a 5th round guy just because, well, first of all, he's probably going to bump inside at the next level. He does have really fantastic length, over 34-inch arms, great wingspan. So he's got the length to play outside. I just don't think he has the requisite athleticism to play out there. But he's a bigger body guy, speaking of big bodies, that I think fits the mold of late round dart throws that Bill Callahan really likes. And I think he's the style of player that Bill Callahan really likes. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if they kind of bolstered their O-line room and got a guy that they think they could develop, where next year, after some of these, shorter contracts, they move on, for example, from a Kevin Zeitler at right guard, maybe a Jalen Rivers slots in and you have a great starter after 1 year. So that's my honest answer about the most likely, maybe best fit. Here's the sneaky one though, Austin. You know what? Actually, I might be stealing yours with the sneaky one. So you go ahead and then I'll share my sneaky one.
No, you go.
You sure? Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Positive.
The sneaky one, you see Xavier Restrepo up there at, I think, 83 on the big board, 85. If he ends up going in the third round, I don't think he's a Titan. But if he slips into day 3, which, maybe 2 weeks ago I would have told you there's no way. But we've got some of his testing from yesterday at the pro day. I think somebody in the comments is giving him a hard time. He ran like a 4.8 340. All of his testing numbers, like bottom line, he's just not an athletic receiver. On the RAS Kentley Platt receiver database, he's like the 25th most athletic receiver out of 3,000 measured all time. It's not good. It's like a 3.83 RAS. Now,
so you're saying he's small, undersized, slow, and not quick?
Well, I guess so. He leaves some things to be wanting in terms of athleticism and size. He does not leave anything to be wanting in terms of dog. Guys got
get open and catch the football.
Well, and that's the thing. On tape, he can. He knows how to get open enough to catch the football, and he's a dog at the catch point, and he plays stronger and bigger than he is. And so, and I have some really smart friends who I might be doing interviews with sometime soon on the A to Z Sports YouTube channel, so keep an eye out for that, who, amongst other things, will argue from an analytical standpoint that athleticism in receivers is wildly overrated and maybe sort of doesn't matter at all. And now that sounds like a crazy thing, and that's a whole different episode to kind of talk about historical examples of guys that did and didn't matter in terms of athleticism. My point is, if that's a guy that you can get at the top of round 4, 103, I think is their first draft pick on day 3, the top of round 4, if he were to slip because of those size and athleticism concerns, I would love that pick, not just from a need standpoint, because obviously they need receivers. I would love it from a fit standpoint for what he could do, I think, in the Callahan offense. And of course, I would love it pairing him back up immediately, having built-in chemistry with Cam Ward. So keep an eye on that one. I think he'll still be a third-round pick. But if he's not, I will go into Saturday of the draft banging the drum for for Xavier Restrepo at 103.
You know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Juwan Jennings.
Oh. Is Juwan that small, though?
No, Juwan's bigger. Like
Okay.
Juwan's a legitimate like 6'2", 6'3", 200 something pounds, right? But like I'm from an idea of not fast, not quick, not like this big, like muscled up, fast, twitchy receiver, but he's just good.
Mm-hmm.
He just is productive, and he shows up in moments.
Sure.
And he's gonna outwork you, and he's gonna tell you about it. like, and I don't know Xavier Restrepo personally, or I don't know his personality.
No, he's
I covered Juwan in high school. I obviously watched him when he was a high school quarterback and a safety, playing every snap of every game at Blackman. Like I watched Juwan Jennings just be everything for that football team. Mm-hmm. But like he's doing the same thing with the Niners. And he was a 7th round pick because he's 40 times sucks. He can't jump. Like I think the irony of Juwan Jennings had like a 26-inch vertical jump, which is like nothing. But he's good. He's a good player.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, he's
making like $7.5 million a year. Yeah,
right.
Almost nearly 1,000 yards in the season. Now, Niners had a lot of injuries and problems that allowed that for opportunity.
But still,
I think Xavier Restrepo reminds me of a smaller Juwan Jennings.
Okay,
good player, knows how to win on reps.
Where was Juwan drafted?
7th round.
7th. Well, you're not going to get Xavier Restrepo there, but you might get him in the 4th.
No. Because I think Restrepo was more productive. Actually, I don't know. I don't remember. Yeah, Restrepo was definitely more
I think Restrepo is like the all-time leading receiver at Miami, which is kind of a low bar, I guess. But yeah. Okay, so what's your answer? Did I
My
steal one of your
answer,
answers?
man, and like Xavier
Tell me
Restrepo,
about Tyler Barron. I don't know a thing about Tyler Barron.
really, yeah, Tyler
He's the
Barron.
one guy on this list I don't know anything about yet.
Well, he's the only defensive guy, and you've probably been paying a lot of attention to Miami offense. So,
It's true. That's true.
Tyler Barron played 4 years with Tennessee Volunteers,
Oh,
and
4 whole years.
was
Okay.
was a Knoxville guy. Was a 4-star recruit out of high school. Signed with Tennessee. Went to Tennessee. Played for 4 years. Left this past year. Went on a tour, the NIL, where at one point he signed with Ole Miss, then left Ole Miss, went to Louisville, then left Louisville, went to Miami, all in one off season. But a good, productive edge player. Was if you go watch James Pierce 2 seasons ago, then you'll see a lot of Tyler Barron with him in the backfield. Tyler Barron's a good player, not great. I think a 5th-round pick on Tyler Barron would be like for the Titans, not or needing a lot of edge bodies. Tyler Barron, Jalen Harrell, kind of the same type of guy, right?
Yeah.
Good to have him as your like 4th edge. He's going to be able to not be a complete liability and might have a pretty big rep or two. I like Tyler Barron. I think he's somebody that's interesting, but yeah, 5th-round pick, day 3 pick makes a lot of sense, but not like he's not special popping off the page.
Sure. I hear you.
He was on that defense 2 years ago with Tennessee with Pierce, Norman Lott, all those other guys that we've talked about so far.
Yeah. Norman Lott, by the way, total side note, going to be an awesome NFL player. It's another guy I'll plant my flag on. He rocks. The other guy that we haven't mentioned, so we've mentioned basically everyone on this list. The other one is David Martinez, the running back.
Running back, y'all.
The running back, which Cam Ward actually had one of those, unlike Shooter Sanders. And Damien's a good player. And he fits the mold of, I wrote an article that came out in the last 48 hours about the needs the Titans have at every position on the depth chart and where they're likely to get them. And I think Damien will end up going higher than the Titans are interested in potentially taking a running back, but they're looking for a very specific type of player at running back, a bigger bodied bruiser between the tackles, dirty work down guy. And Damien fits that mold. He's not a pure bruiser in that way where it's like, it's all he can do. He's got some versatility, but he's got the body type that can handle the between the tackles runs. He's a bigger player. I think that he's the kind of running back they're looking for. So I think in terms of a fit, he'd be a very good fit as a 3rd behind Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. I just don't know if the capital is going to match up for him. People are giving me a hard time. This is, this is fair. Hand up. People, did Easton say that wide receiver bar at Miami is low? I forgot Michael Irving went to Miami. That's fair. That's a good point.
There's a couple others.
Okay. Too. Well, Miami, deep Miami wide receiver lore. I'll go ahead and say it. Not my bag.
Santana Moss.
Not my bag. Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah. How about Andre Johnson? Titans legend.
Okay. Well, you know what?
Yes.
I couldn't have been more wrong about that one. My bad.
I can keep going. You want me to? You make
Wait, so did somebody lie? I saw somebody. Maybe somebody commented earlier that they think that Restrepo is the all-time leading receiver at Miami. Was that just
he might be lie? Because Reggie Wayne was the other one I was going to say.
Yikes.
But like, yeah, this has been a bad show for you.
No, it's not. You're wrong about the beginning. You're right about this part. You're so wrong. It's crazy, but we don't.
No, you just don't. Yeah,
I think I've had a perfectly fine show, actually.
Your whole or just not like.
I am not anti-Rand.
Your whole me saying that I don't know that Rand Carthon would be good at podcasting or
because
good at media. I do. I've seen him work a room. He's really good at it. I know people that know Rand. He's very good at that. I've seen it, Easton.
I think he'll be good at it. I don't know it because nobody knows.
I know he will be good at it.
Right, we're not.
I am talent evaluating at this. I'm also the guy that hired you. Speaking of talent evaluation,
you were wrong on that front. So you're wrong on this front. Yeah.
Well, at least I know you're. You can create.
I'm way cheaper than he is.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
For now.
For now. I mean, if you want to add in the tight ends, I mean, we can do that with Miami. But I mean, I know Travis Benjamin's not a big name, but
I know that one. Yeah.
Alan Hearns, Alan.
All right. So what we learned this morning is that Easton was not intimately familiar with the
The
wide
U.
receiver lore at the U, which I will.
The
You
U.
know what? I would have told you that before we started today's show. So that's my bad.
Man.
Nick said I need to wear the ugly A to Z hat on days like this. Not ugly. The hat that does not fit me on days like this.
And this is a bad. That's pretty funny.
That's funny.
That is really funny.
Get out of here, Chef Maine.
Let's throw some shade. You want to throw some shade?
Sure.
All right. If you have shade for us, get it off your chest. Throw some shade in the comments. We'll read them here in a second. Time to throw shade. Shout out to Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com and say hey to our friend Payne Bone if you see him there at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. If you've got shade in the chat, bring it on. Let's see. I'll let some more shade file in. Do you have any shade for us today, Easton? Because
my shade is on Rand Carthon, the podcaster.
I think Rand would be a.
I think he's going to be good at it. I said that at the top. You took it too far, and it made me mad.
No, no.
I did actually. I said I think he'd be good at it.
I said phenomenal, and you're like, you don't know that.
Yeah, because that's crazy. It is.
I think he's going to be great.
I think he'll be very good at it, but I don't know because we've hardly heard the guy. Other shade things. Let's see. Shade generally on people that take pro days way too seriously, but we kind of already covered that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Let me think. Do you have one?
You don't have shade?
Not really. I most days I just kind of come into it and go with what's in my gut. I don't really think about it, and I'm not, despite what people think this morning, I don't have a ton of hate in my heart.
I've got some pretty serious shade. So Skip says NCAA officiating, which you can always throw shade at college basketball refs because college basketball refs are the worst. They are the absolute worst. That's not my shade.
They suck.
But it is fair to throw shade at college basketball refs. However, Robert Morse got screwed. Look,
Colorado State got screwed. What are we talking about? Holy travel, Batman. What do we like?
Yeah, there was also a foul that happened there too. So it's one of those things. If the foul is called before the travel, then he's shooting free throws anyway. What's the point?
Okay, well, the shade is more on the explanation afterwards. Because do you hear the explanation from like Sterator and all those guys who are like, you can't. They're like, I don't really, yeah, maybe technically it's a travel, but who really cares? Was basically their argument. It's like, what? All right.
Yeah. So my shade is on UConn's SID.
What?
Are you ready for this?
Sure.
The UConn drama. So I got to pull this story back up
again.
What
is SID?
So, Sports Information Director.
Okay. Shows what I know.
Yeah. What? So Dan Hurley loses to Florida. And as he walks out of the tunnel, into the tunnel,
yeah,
Baylor's team is standing there about to take the floor to go play Duke. And Dan Hurley tells the Baylor team, I hope they don't F you, Baylor, because they F'd us as far as like losing to Florida, which, UConn should have won that game. They had every chance to win the game. They didn't. That's not the ref's fault. Florida was able to hit shots, and Florida's got some dudes out there that just come up huge in those big moments. But a reporter, Joey Ellis, captured Dan Hurley telling that to Baylor in the tunnel and posted it. I'm reading from QCnews.com. It's a website out of Charlotte that covers the Queen City, QC News right there. But shortly after the video was posted, Ellis was confronted by the UConn Director of Communications, Bobby Mullen, who asked for the video to be removed, a video that now has more than 1 million views on X.
What a loser.
Mullen then reportedly threatened Ellis, saying he would, quote, ruin his life, end quote, if he didn't take down the video, a comment that was heard by other reporters and staff nearby.
Wow.
In a statement requested by the reporter, quote, the lasting image of Coach Hurley leaving the court should have been his taking off the court in arm with his seniors, overwhelmed by emotion. Instead, a reporter was in the area he should have not been, recorded on his cell phone a private comment made to members of another coaching staff, end quote. My shade is at Bobby Mullen, director of communications at UConn, for being an absolute loser.
Loser. I mean, so predictable, because that's what these people want me. Like, there are times working with NFL teams where this kind of thing has happened and they ask you to take a step down and you're like, no, what are you talking about? But at the college level, I hear it's way worse from people that I like. Nick Suss, our buddy at Tennessee.
Can be.
Yeah, at the college level, they are, I mean, it is as Gestapo as it gets. And so I'm not surprised one bit that he did that. And I believe with every ounce of my heart that he said, I will ruin your life. I believe that totally happened. But what a freaking loser.
And then trying to say like what the lasting image should be of being arm in arms with seniors overwhelmed by emotion. Give me a freaking break. This is not Pixar, man. This is
that part's right. But guess what? Your coach didn't do that. Your coach decided to jaw in a tunnel in the open about
because your coach is Dan Hurley. Your coach is Dan Hurley.
Dan Hurley decided to be Dan Hurley.
Yes. So sorry. Like I think it's ridiculous. Like I understand that being an SID, a director of communication, is a tough job because you're having to corral big, emotional, testosterone-driven, egotistical personalities. It's not hard, or that's not easy. It's very difficult. But don't give me this, it should have been this picturesque moment of arm in arm with seniors after you lose a tough game. No, it's be authentic. And Dan Hurley is authentic because he said, hey, Baylor, I hope they don't F you like they F'd us. That's Dan Hurley. That's authentic. That's great.
You know, honestly, Dan Hurley gets off really easy in this story because if it weren't for the extracurriculars of the video and the SID situation, we would be appropriately raking him over the coals for being such a loser in himself.
I don't
for
care.
whining about the refs.
No, I don't care. Like Dan Hurley saying that to Baylor makes me laugh.
It makes me laugh too.
It doesn't make me feel. It doesn't change anything or make me feel anti Dan Hurley. Like I don't care. Like
no, it's very on brand for him, and so I think we'd be laughing at it. But like it is objectively a bad look when you're the back-to-back defending champion. You just lost to the 1 seed in a tough game that you had a chance to win that you didn't. They made more shots than you, and the first thing you're doing is whining about the calls in the tunnel to the team that you beat in the championship last year. It's very Dan Hurley, or not? Wrong team, but still you have played a lot recently. It's just funny. That's what we'd be making fun of if not for the SID deciding to try to ruin somebody's life over an internet video.
I would not be throwing shade at Dan Hurley being a Baylor. I hope they don't F you like they F'd us. I would not care about that. See it. I'd laugh.
He's a whiny little baby though. Like you don't think so? Okay. So
I mean, yeah, but it doesn't bother me.
Okay. That's fair.
But the Bobby Mullen, I'm going to use his name. Bobby Mullen telling a reporter, I'm going to ruin your life if you don't take down that video. No, dude, video's out there. That's part of life. This is
going to backfire on him. Bobby Mullen's going to get raked over the coals on the internet for probably a long time now.
Yeah. So do you have any shade now?
I got so enraptured by that story, I didn't even think of my own shade. Let's go to the chat because I saw some shades in the chat. Chef Maine says shade on March Madness for no big upsets. Pretty chalky year. I mean, I'm not surprised. What do you mean no?
No upsets, like no big upsets, like Chef Maine's talking about, means that this weekend, this next set of games is going to be so good.
I hope so. Last year we got
a less chaotic first weekend.
I'm not surprised.
A less chaotic first weekend means a better tournament overall.
Let's revisit this next week and see what we think.
We sure will.
Okay. Let's see. Corey throwing shade on the Cam haters. Of course, he isn't going to make every single throw. Shade on national media to force Sanders and Ward away from the Titans and to bigger markets. That's not happening, but all right.
It was earlier in the draft season.
I mean, they were wish casting them to bigger markets. That part's true, but they don't really have
That's what he's saying.
power in that regard.
That's what he's trying to say.
I see. I read it wrong. My apologies, Andre. Fair enough. Good shade. I don't think it's still happening, but I think it was happening, so that's fair. Titans Kyle, shade on Easton. It wasn't your best day. Tomorrow's a new day and chance to bounce back. Yeah, we'll watch the tape. We'll be better. We'll improve.
Who's paid more than Rand Carthon at CBS?
That part was dumb. I just kind of said a thing that came to my mind and immediately realized that was wrong.
So many people.
That's
so
true.
many people.
Well, so much. 2
yes.
or 3. Like, not so many. Talent. I said talent, not executives. Rand Carthon's making $4 million a year or something. What are we talking about? On top of whatever
CBS talent? Are you kidding me, man? There are some. How much do you think? How much do you think Iron Eagle's making?
Not as much as Rand Carthon.
Oh, let's find out.
Let's find out. Maybe I'm vastly underestimating Iron Eagle's market value.
His net worth is around 20 million. Let's see.
I'll be floored if he's making $4 or $5 million a year.
And
you keep looking at that.
Reportedly, a salary over $8 million a year.
$8 million a year? No shot. That's a lot. You just made that up.
I did not.
Where'd you get that? BuzzFeed?
No, not BuzzFeed. Same place I got the list of Miami wide receivers that are better than Xavier Restrepo.
Nah, that's not true. You didn't get that in the same place.
Correct.
Any other shades? There's some shades on here that I'm not even gonna mention. Tall Texan shade on the Titans for even attending the Sanders Pro Day. You can't just not go. You have to go. Doing the due diligence thing. I know there were some other ones. Where are they? Shade on the women's bracket being in shambles while I'm in first in the work pool after the Juju injury. Oh yeah,
that does suck.
That stinks.
That does really suck.
Hope she gets better soon. Yeah, that is not good news. She rocks. Justin says shade on not mentioning Jacoby George on Miami list to draft. He's similar to Tank Dell. Is this I'm sure I've watched him because I've watched the receivers, but I don't know the name. Jacoby George. Have you heard that name before?
Nope.
Me neither. Justin says shade on his boss for having 8-hour work day guys, but continuing to give them 11 hours of work and a bunch of very meaningful meetings. Yeah, same here. Austin constantly just giving us. I wake up and I work my hands to the freaking bone until I go to sleep, and then I lay in bed at night. My wife and children, or my wife and child, are crying because they're like, "We want to see you more. We want you to be in our lives." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, my slave driver." So I feel the same way. Justin.
Okay.
I feel the same way, Justin. Okay. Anything else? Any other shades in here? I think that's.
There are so many highly paid CBS employees that it's ridiculous. So anyway, but
he's still on this. All right.
Okay. That's it for today. Hopefully tomorrow will be better for you, Easton. Rough start to the show, but that's okay.
Most of my shows are so fantastic, they can't all be great.
That's true. You can't make all the throws, right, Cam Ward? All right, make sure you hit that like button, like the show before you go. Subscribe to the channel, 5-star Google review. We'll be back on a Wednesday morning, and Buck Rising live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime, and we'll catch you guys later on. Appreciate it.